30 different plants, one eating window, 3 hours, that's it. I thought you needed to graze all day to feed your gut. Turns out you don't. I'm Neil, I've been tracking every plant I eat since October 2025 as part of a 70-day reset. Every herb, every seed, every speck of spice counted. In the next 14 minutes, how I hit 30 in one window. Why herbs and spices count as separate plants. How soup became my gut's best friend. And why the graze all day advice might be doing more harm than good. So the question I kept asking myself during the 70-day reset was this: does your gut actually need all day access to food to get what it needs? Because the conventional advice, and I've absorbed this too, without really questioning it, was that you graze. Small meals, regular intervals, keep things moving, keep things fed. Turns out that advice is built on very little. And Tim Spector's work is where I started to unpick it. Spector's been studying the gut microbiome for years now. He's researched with the Zoe Project, the Twin Studies, the Predict programme. And one of the things he's most vocal about is diversity. Not just fibre, not just fermented foods, diversity of plant species. The sheer number of different plants you're putting through the system in a week. His research, confirmed by large-scale studies, points to 30 different plants a week as the target. Not 30 servings, 30 different species. Herbs count, spices count, nuts count, seeds count. The black pepper you grind onto your eggs in the morning, it counts. And here's the bit that genuinely surprised me. Most people in the UK eat around 5 different plants a week. 5. Not 5 per day, 5 per week. That's the gap we're talking about, 5 to 30. So what does that actually mean for your gut? Let me explain the mechanism. Think your gut microbiome as the Friday night pub. You want regulars from all walks of life in there. Builders, teachers, pensioners, students, office workers, the bloke who always plays darts. That diversity is your resilience. If the students all move away, one bacterial strain dies off, which happens when you eat the same food repeatedly. The pub survives. You've still got the builders and the pensioners, different species, different jobs, different survival. Monoculture Gut is a student-only pub. Term ends, the town empties, the landlord goes bust. That's what eating the same 5, 10 foods every week does. You're feeding the same bacteria over and over. Some species will thrive, but most don't get fed at all. The diversity shrinks, and when the diversity shrinks, the resilience, it goes with it. Now, this is worth acknowledging whether you've had a gut diagnosis or not. IBS, leaky gut, dysbiosis, those people need to hear this, but so does anyone in their 40s noticing that their digestion isn't quite what it was, that their energy drops after meals, that they seem to react to foods they used to eat without issue. This mechanism develops over years. The diversity loss happens slowly, quietly, before the symptoms arrive. Feed the pub, keep the regulars diverse. Right, so you've got diversity, but what are those plants actually doing once they're inside? Think of prebiotic fibre, the kind found in plant foods, as scaffolding for bacteria. Your gut bacteria needs something to cling to and feed on. No scaffolding, and the builders, your good bacteria, they can't reach the upper floors, can't do the work. Eventually, they leave the job site. Prebiotic fibre from plants is the scaffolding and the packed lunch combined. Your bacteria cling to it, ferment it, and in doing so, produce something called short-chain fatty acids, SCFAs. Those SCFAs are what heals your gut lining, reduces inflammation, regulates appetite signals, and influences your mood through the gut-brain axis. So each different plant species you eat feeds a different group of bacteria, different scaffolding, different builders, different jobs being done. That's why 30 matters more than 300 grams of the same plant. A mountain of iceberg lettuce is one type of scaffolding. 30 different plants is 30 different types of scaffolding. 30 different bacterial crews doing 30 different repair jobs. Here's where I want to push back on something. There's an assumption baked into a lot of gut health advice that says, eat regularly throughout the day. Keep feeding your microbiome. Don't let it go hungry. But think about watering a garden. If you water deeply once a day, really soak the soil, The roots go deep, the plant thrives, the soil holds moisture. Works brilliantly. If you water a little bit every 3 hours, just a splash each time, the soil surface stays damp, the roots never go deep, and eventually you get waterlogged soil, shallow roots, plants that can't stand up in a storm. Your gut bacteria don't need constant input. What they need is depth. A compressed eating window full of varied, fibre-rich real foods gives them a concentrated dose of diverse scaffolding to work with. Then the fast begins, and that's not a problem. That's the garden getting a rest between deep waterings. The grazing myth, the idea that you need all-day access to food to feed your microbiome, is probably doing more harm than good. Constant eating means constant insulin response, constant digestive burden, and gut bacteria that never get the fasting window they need to consolidate the repair work. One deep watering, 30 different plants in it, that's the goal. So that's the theory. Here's what I actually tracked during the 70-day reset, which I ran from October 2025. I logged every single plant I ate, every meal, every herb, every spice. I kept a food diary, partly because I wanted to test Tim Spector's 30 plant target, partly because I genuinely didn't know if I was hitting it. What I expected to find was that hitting 30 in a week was achievable, but required some planning. What I didn't expect was day 3. Day 3 of the reset, 4-hour eating window. Noon until 4. I made a red pepper soup for lunch, just soup, the kind of things I'd throw together without thinking. When I counted the plants in that one bowl, 9. 9 different plants in a single bowl of soup. Red pepper, tomato, onion, garlic, carrot, celery, cumin, smoked paprika, black pepper. 9 in one bowl. Then I added the rest of the day. Spinach soup later. Fish with a tomato and herb salsa. A bit of cheese with crackers. 4 lint balls. And when I tallied it up at the end of the day, I was at 28 plants. 28 in a 4-hour eating window. Around 1600 calories, 64 grams of protein, 24 grams of fibre. I genuinely hadn't been trying to hit a number. I was just eating normally, real food, cooked properly, and the diversity was there, but without effort. The microbiome garden got properly fed that day, and the shop, it was only open for 4 hours. That pattern kept repeating. Day 2 of the reset, 26 plants, 4-hour window, breaking a 44-hour fast with soup, nuts, berries, butter chicken. Day 7, 21 plants, just from a curry with multiple herbs and spices. Day after day, the numbers came in between 18 and 30 without me engineering it. Day 45 is done notice as the marker. 30 plants, 3-hour eating window, not a special day, not a meal I planned carefully, just a day where the food happened to be diverse, colourful and real. 30 plants, 3 hours. That was the moment I stopped buying the all-day grazing argument. Let me walk you through where those plants come from, because I think this is what most people don't realise. A good soup, and I mean a homemade soup, not from a tin, contributes anywhere between 8 and 12 plants on its own. Red pepper, the way I make it, is 9. A spiced butternut squash soup with ginger, cumin and coriander, 10 or 11. You've barely started the day. Herbs and spices add 5 to 8 plants per meal if you're cooking properly. A curry has turmeric, cumin, coriander, garam masala, fenugreek, chilli, garlic, ginger. That's 8 plants before the main ingredients go in. And they count. Tim Spector's research explicitly includes herbs and spices in the 30 plant target. A teaspoon of turmeric is a plant. Black pepper is a plant. They all feed different bacterial crews. A mixed salad, properly mixed leaves, not iceberg, brings 10 to 15 plants easily. Add seeds and a dressing with mustard and apple cider vinegar and you're at 12 before the main course. So the maths work like this. 1 soup at lunch, 9 to 12 plants. 1 meal with proper spices for dinner, 8 to 10 plants. A handful of mixed nuts and seeds as part of the window, 4 to 6 plants. Berries with natural yoghurt, 3 to 4 plants. You're at 25 to 32 before you've done anything unusual in a 3 to 4 hour window. I want to be honest about what this wasn't. It wasn't a complex nutrition protocol. I wasn't weighing plants or planning elaborate meals. The days I hit 25 plus plants were ordinary days. A soup I'd made the day before, a piece of fish with a simple salsa, some crackers with cheese and kimchi. The day I hit 8 or 9 plants, those were the days I'd eaten beige food. Toast, plain chicken, a bag of crisps. Nothing wrong with those individually, but they don't feed many pub regulars. The shift that happened over the 70-day reset wasn't dramatic, it was just that my default meals got more colourful and more varied. And once I understood that herbs and spices counted, the numbers started going up without much effort. The gut responds to variety, not volume, not duration, variety and depth. One good, deep watering. So how do you actually test this yourself? Start with the soup method. It's the easiest entry point I've found is soup. Make a batch of homemade soup with 8 to 10 ingredients. Takes 20-30 minutes and you've got your microbiome base sorted for the day. Red pepper and tomato, spiced lentil, butternut and ginger. Each one is a gut diversity hits in a bowl. Count the plants, not obsessively, just once to calibrate. You'll probably surprise yourself. Count herbs and spices deliberately. Most people don't count these. They should. If you're cooking with garlic, onion, cumin, coriander, turmeric and black pepper, that's 6 plants in one meal before anything else goes in. Start counting them. They absolutely feed different bacterial species. Track for 1 week. Don't change your diet yet. Just count. Write down every different plant you eat across a week. Vegetables, fruits, herbs, spices, nuts, seeds, legumes. See where you land. Most people I've spoken to are surprised to find there are 8 to 12, not 30. That number, whatever it is your baseline. You're not trying to go from 8 to 30 overnight. You're adding variety at the edges. 1 new herb, 1 different vegetable, a handful of seeds on top of your yogurt. You don't need to be fasting to use this approach. But if you're using a compressed eating window, here's the reassurance. Your gut doesn't need you grazing all day. A 4 to 6 hour window with diverse fibre-rich food gives your microbiome what it needs. The fasting period that follows isn't starving your gut bacteria. It's giving them time to process the scaffolding you've provided. Gut diversity changes faster than most metabolic markers. Studies suggest measurable microbiome shifts within 2 to 4 weeks of consistent dietary change. You're not waiting months for this. A fortnight of deliberate diversity will likely change how your digestion feels. Less bloating, better transit, more stable energy after meals. Test it for a couple of weeks. Track your plants. Note how your digestion responds. That's enough data to tell you whether it's worth continuing. If you want to start tracking your plants, I've got a free 14-day rhythm reset, which is in the description, that includes a plant diversity tracker. It's the simplest way to get your baseline without overthinking it. Link's below and it's free. One thing before you go, everything I've shared today is educational. It's based on my experience and research that I've logged. It's not medical advice. If you've got an existing gut condition, IBS, Crohn's or any inflammatory bowel issue, speak to your GP before making significant dietary changes. Increasing fibre rapidly can cause real discomfort if your gut isn't ready for it.